I talked to Al Solorzano from Entasis 360, and he tells me how they've rocked it for their customer. It's between the clouds. What does the place people need to do their best work look like? Let's find out. Between the clouds. You're going to recognize my guest's chiseled good looks from being a guest before on the series. So, Al, I wanted to bring you back because we're facing Microsoft Inspire, and you were telling me in the pre-show about a great customer story.
So I can't say the name, but it's a large financial organization, and somewhere around 2019, they were kind of struggling with their solutions, right? They were delivering end user computing using Citrix, and they were looking to see what they could do about advancing into the cloud and into their cloud journeys.
And so you helped them move into the cloud. I'm assuming the cloud was...
And by the way, this is pre-COVID. Their initial vision was they were going to go hybrid multi-cloud.
Right.
They were going to have solutions on every of the public cloud providers, and they also were going to still have on-premises deployments. So they knew they needed something that could kind of manage all of those components. So definitely Citrix Cloud was our first conversation because it gave them that hybrid multi-cloud approach. Whether those were their Citrix ADCs, whether that was for their virtual desktops and virtual applications, it was going to be the best solution.
What was the first thing that their goal was to offload from on-prem to the cloud?
They wanted to get out of the data center business. That really came down to a little bit of cost. It also came down to being able to burst organizationally. They had a lot of burst scenarios, so it was all aligning to that cloud journey. However, as we started going down with that journey with them, we started seeing some of the advantages that Microsoft Azure had over the competition. Because of that, they started kind of saying, well, maybe we don't need to go with hybrid multi-cloud. Like, it's a good vision to have, but we don't necessarily have to go down that path. And as we kept moving down that path, we saw more and more advantages for the customer, whether it was licensing from Microsoft, the Windows 10 multi-session capabilities, the tight partnership between Citrix and Microsoft and Azure. And they started then standardizing on Azure as their primary solution for the public cloud. After that, they started seeing so many advantages, they started migrating more and more workloads. So where it used to be kind of like, hey, we're going to go 90% on-prem, 10% in the cloud, or mostly for DR purposes, starting to see them getting close to a true hybrid where it's almost close to 50-50 right now, running between Azure and their on-prem solution.
What were some of the Citrix integration advantages in working with Azure that were really key in this one?
The capabilities of having Citrix Cloud, being able to manage both of those infrastructures. Because of that, they didn't have to retool anything. They didn't have to go retrain their entire organization on, here's another tool on how to monitor your Azure workloads. And with that, that led into things like, well, what can we do about Teams integration? What can we do about security solutions? What can we do on the networking stack? And all of that just kind of fell into place and started resulting in a much tighter solution for the customer.
And so now you talk about the Teams integration. I assume this company was multi-site originally?
Multi-site scenarios for all their data centers, and then multi-site for all of their end users. And as soon as COVID hit, they started realizing that they needed to have a better solution stack, right? It couldn't just be just chat and just email. So with that, Teams became a huge priority. So we were able to show the integration that Citrix had with Teams, what Microsoft has been doing with Teams.
When you're running the workloads in something like Azure, it's all about the consumption. And that meter wheel is constantly spinning around because the VMs might be on. Yep. They might stay running even though the users have gone home. Have you seen the advantages of autoscale in this scenario?
Absolutely. We started with that from the very beginning, Sean, because we knew that, we've seen enough of these deployments that they receive their bill and they go, why is there an extra zero at the end of my bill this month? And you're like, well, yeah, a couple people kept some VMs a little longer than they should. So we were ahead of that, and we kind of used our advantage of all that past knowledge to say we need to spend a little bit more time. Look at how you're going to scale out in that environment. How are we dealing with the policies to make sure we're disconnecting users and logging off users when they're no longer using the systems. Do you want to balance for cost, or do you want to balance for performance? Do we want to have a bunch of VMs sitting around waiting for that user to log in with the maximum amount of power, or do we deal with a couple of minutes or moments that it takes to get that machine booted?
Do you want to walk into a dark room? Do you want to have the lights on when you walk into the room? Or is there a motion sensor that turns the lights on immediately? It's that balance that you have to go through, and it's a constant tuning.
Constant balancing. Yeah, it's not a one-time set and forget. It's a little bit like, hey, where are we at? How are users using the system today? Hey, we're noticing more people are on for longer periods of time. Okay, well then that means some of our policies that may have disconnected the user or logged off the user at a certain amount of time, we have to start making changes.
Where does our listener go to get more information about Al Solorzano and Ensys 360?
Well, of course, they can go to nsys360.com and go to our website. I will say this, every organization's on a cloud journey. Make sure you're choosing a good cloud partner from the very beginning. And if your primary workloads are going to be Citrix-based, then also be working with a partner that is heavily focused within the Citrix stack and within the Azure stack to take you on that cloud journey together. We're seeing a lot of organizations that are struggling going on their cloud journey because they're not picking the right partner. So just make sure you pick the right partner. Hopefully it's Ensys 360, but if not, make sure you're working with a good one.
All right, everybody, keep tuning in. Bye.